Hi there. I want to cover two important topics about sending images to models, and make 2 points really. One is it's not good enough to send the base 64 encoded image in the user prompt or in just some text string. That's not going to work. So this is what happens when you do that. You're going to get an answer, but it sometimes I've seen it actually try to decode it, but this one's saying no, it's base 64 encoded. It's not going to work, right? So in this case, you got an email, you got a business card here, and we can certainly extract that from an image using get live text as JSON, and we can, if we put our container in there and just do that, we're going to get our text. And it's going to be right. And then, what some people are doing is they're then taking this and sending it to the model and say, extract the things. And that's not a bad way to do it. Like that does work. And it could be, actually it might even be better. I'm not sure, but I think it's really important to understand the distinctions here. If you do this, get live text, and let's say it loses a character, for whatever reason, it can't read it, doesn't read it correctly, then the image, the text that you get back when you send it to the model could be wrong. Or it could be that the text is, maybe the text in this image is always in a certain place, and there could be lots of text on there. And so it wouldn't actually be good enough just to have strings of text. You'd have to know about where the text was in the picture. You get some of that here, but this is not good information to be feeding to the model. So you don't want to, this is probably not the best way to extract text unless the text is very clear, or it's not a very complicated scene, or there might not be duplicates of the same information in different areas or similar information in different areas. Like how would there's no way for the model to know that this is a title. However, because it's just a text string here. However, if the model understands that this is a business card, then it will know that it's a title, right? And so if we send it using, if we don't use get live text, we get back, we'll get back the correct information, and it will be very accurate, right? And so the question is, how do you do that? Because you can't just, like, if you just slam this into the user prompt. So if we look at sending the wrong way, if we do this, where we just get our system prompt, we base 64 encode our image, and then we just in the user prompt here, we just basically say, do the image, the whatever's in this field, and the base 64. Like it's probably not going to be able to do that. Although I have seen it, depending on the model, occasionally actually try to do that, or recognize that it's base 64 and then spend a lot of tokens decoding that, or trying to. Maybe sometimes it'll get some of the information and then or it will give up. So how do you send it properly? The way you send it properly is part of the messages array. And this is what that looks like. So we set the system prompt, base 64 encode our stuff. Actually, no, sorry, this one. And then system prompt. And then here I'm creating an image data URL. And so that is a base 64 of the image plus this preamble, or this prefix. This is the key. If you have different types of images, you will have to use the container function to determine whether it's a PNG or base 64. And you'll have PNG or JPEG, and you'll have to determine that dynamically. And then when we construct the message, what we do is we make an array. Here, let's run this here. We can see what it looks like. Actually, unfortunately, I can't. Well, give me this and we'll drop to the data viewer. I might even already have it in the data viewer. I do. Yeah, so let's do this one. That's an older version. So if we look at this, sorry. We look at the value. There's no image data URL, so it's empty right now because that variable is empty. But this is the proper structure. What we're doing is we're sending a content block it's a message from the user. The content is an array, and the array as an object with the first one is type image URL, and then here is the image URL definition. So if we send that as part of our script, when we set this off, we'll clear that. We'll get our system prompt. We'll get our image data URL. That looks like this. There you see the prefix, and there's the base 64 encoded. And then we'll make a messages out of that. We can look at that message. All right, there's the message. You can see the whole image data is in there. Then we just configure our account, and then we generate our response, and we wait for it to populate our target field down there. And that is correct. So that is the proper way to attach images to a call to the model so that it knows that it's an image and it can read it as an image URL. It won't spend a lot of tokens trying to decode it, and it will give you very accurate information about what's in that image. Like I said, get live text may be fine for use cases where the text is, again, it doesn't require you to understand the context of the image or what's in it to be able to get the information you want out of it. But this is a very good way of doing it. It works pretty well. It does not burn a lot of tokens because I'm not sure I made this point yet. And this is the second point I want to make, is that when you send an image as an attachment to the model, to a multimodal model, not all models are multimodal, but ones that are, they are not doing OCR. It is not the same as OCR. It actually understands the image. So if I go and, bring in my dog Bella and say, how many dog feet are in this picture? Three dog feet visible, which is right. 1, 2, and there's the third. It knows this. It knows what this image is. So if you have a situation where you're trying to get text out of an image and maybe it needs to know something about the image in order to get the right text, you really want to just use the model and just get live text as JSON. If it's very clear, it's a very clear label where all the text is just spelled out right there, and you don't have to know that it's a business card or that it's a machine plate for a AC unit or whatever, then it doesn't matter. But there's all kinds of use cases where it's probably better to use a model. Take a plate from a piece of machinery. There's a lot of context that the model can understand about that image. You take that picture of the machine plate, it actually might even be able to identify what kind of machine it is before it starts to extract the text from that label. So it get the serial number, for example. And maybe it might even know, if it's a Lennox air conditioner, it knows that Lennox air conditioners, the serial numbers always begin with certain characters. So it'll be able to use that as part of its rules for getting this stuff. Whereas if you just use get live text from JSON, it's not going to give you that information. That's it. Hope that's helpful. Thank you.